This video is about stating the specific sampling method based on the description. State which one of the sampling methods listed below best describe the method used. Stratified, cold, convenience, systematic, simple random. CEO Christina wants to know about employee satisfaction at her consumer electronic company. Instead of serving all her employees, she decides to survey a sample of 349 employees. She divides the employees into groups based on their job title. Then she randomly selects 10 employees from each group for the sample. Keywords here, divided into groups based on the job titles. Second keywords, randomly selected 10 employees from each group. So this is stratified. Question 2. General Burnett wants to know the mile time of soldiers in her division. Instead of timing all the soldiers, she decides to time a sample of 357 soldiers. She randomly selects one soldier from a list and then selects every 14th soldier after that until 357 are selected. When you see the word every 14th, you know this is a systematic. Question 3. A researcher has a population of 100 third grade children from a local school district, from which a sample of 25 children is to be selected. Each child's name is put in on a list, and each child is assigned a number from 1 to 100. Then the number 1 to 100 are written on separate pieces of paper and shuffled. Finally, the researcher picks 25 slips of paper, and the numbers on the paper determine the 25 participants. Obviously, this is a simple random sampling because every child has the equal opportunity to be selected. Question 4. A sociologist conducts an opinion survey in a major city. Part of the research plan calls for describing and comparing the opinions of 4 different ethnic groups: African Americans, Asian Americans, European Americans, and Native Americans. For a total sample of 300, the researcher selects 75 participants from each of the 4 predetermined subgroups. Selects means randomly selected. So this is stratified because the population is divided into 4 groups, and the samples are randomly selected from each group. So this is a stratified sampling. Question 5. A medical center is testing patients for a certain disease. This disease occurs in 5% of the population. They test every patient who comes to the center on a particular day. Obviously, this is a convenience sampling. because they choose the people who come to the center for the sample because they are easy to reach. Question 6. A pharmaceutical company has developed a new drug to decrease cholesterol. The final stage of testing the new drug is to compare it to their current drug. They have 150 volunteers, all recently diagnosed with high cholesterol, from which they want to select a sample of size 18. They require as close as possible 20% of the sample to be below the age of 30, 30% to be between the ages of 30 and 50, and 50% to be over the age of 50. From the given description, we know the researchers will choose the sample based on the age group. Under 30 years old, they will choose 4 volunteers. Between 30 to 50, they will choose 5 volunteers. Over 50 years old, they will choose 9 volunteers. The reason why they do this is that they want their samples as the representatives of the whole population, so that they can reduce the bias. This is either stratified sampling or cold sampling, because the population is divided into 3 subgroups based on their age. How will they choose these samples from each age group? They didn't mention. Normally in this situation, it implies that they will use random selection method. Therefore, stratified sampling is the answer. Practice 3. Question 7. The principal selects the students for the sample by asking those who took part in a previous survey if they would like to take part in another. She takes the first of those who reply positively up to the maximum needed for the sample. State which 2 of the sampling methods listed below best describe the method used. First of all, this is a convenience because the principal selects the students who already took part in a previous survey, which means the principal has those students already. So it's easy to reach these students. Second will be colder. Then the principal divides those who took part in previous survey already into 2 subgroups. One group who would like to take part in another survey. The other group who wouldn't like to take part in another survey. Then she takes the first of those who reply positively up to the maximum needed for the sample, which means the principal didn't choose the sample randomly from this subgroup. That's why this is a quota. Remember, for quota, there are subgroups. Sample is not randomly selected. Let's go to question 8. As part of his mathematics exploration about classic books, Jason investigated the time taken by students in his school to read the book The Old Man and the Sea. He collected his data by stopping and asking students in the school corridor until he reached his target of 10 students from each of the literature classes in his school. Stopping and asking students in the school corridor, which means this is a convenience sampling because they are easy to reach. Until he reached his target of 10 students from each of the literature classes means this is a quota, because 10 students from each literature class are not chosen randomly.